Hi everyone, my name's Martin Saul. Thank you for joining the latest edition of the Supply Chain Leaders webinar series today. Firstly, a big thank you to our speakers, Elena Caparina and Carlo Bisagni. They are respectively the Global Program Manager and Global IT Lead for the S&OP Core program at Heineken. We're working together on a really exciting S&OP program, and FuturMaster really appreciate you taking the time to share the experience of deploying our new generation of supply chain solutions to accelerate business value in a volatile world. The presentation itself will take about 30 minutes and we'll run a 15-minute Q&A session at the end. If you've got any questions as we go through the presentation, you can ask them in the Q&A section of your screen. I'll now hand over to Elena and Carlo to begin the presentation.
Thanks very much, Martin, for the introduction. I will speak on behalf of Carlo and myself. We are also very excited to be here today and to share more about our S&OP journey in Heineken and things we are doing together with FuturMaster. So as Martin already announced, the title of our presentation is Heineken Supply Chain Planning, Accelerating Business Value in the Volatile World. And obviously, nowadays, world has become much more volatile compared to the challenges and the things we were facing just a year ago. The value of planning has become higher to all of the stakeholders and to all levels of the organization. But before I speak about the planning part, the planning program of S&OP Core and the things we have been doing in the last months together with FuturMaster, let me start with a quick introduction of the Heineken company. We are Heineken, and I do hope, sincerely do hope, that you have heard the name Heineken before, and not only heard the name, but you have tried some of our great beers or ciders, or maybe even soft drinks. But just to give a small introduction of the company, Heineken is a proud, independent, and responsible global brewer. And we also hold proudly the title of the most international brewer because we are #1 in Europe and #2 globally, with brands present in more than 190 countries, so covering the whole world, and the company itself operational in more than 70 countries. And what we are doing, our goal, our ambition is to surprise and excite consumers everywhere with our great beers and ciders by building great brands. We obviously are very proud of our history and heritage. We are a family company, and the Heineken family is still in the lead of the company business. Yes, they still take a very active role in the company building business, and our roots are in the Netherlands since 1864. Heineken has a truly global presence all over the world, and it's a huge company with more than 85,000 employees globally, with more than 160 production facilities, which are breweries, malteries, cider plants in over 70 countries. The consolidated beer volume in 2019 was above 240 million hectoliters, and then you can see on the map, we are present in all corners and regions of the world. Europe has been our motherland, our stronghold from the very beginning, but also the business in Americas is very strong. And obviously we are also present in Asia Pacific and Africa, Middle East and Eastern region, which also includes Russia. So I did already mention the volatility that has happened in the world today. We are all living in these uncertain times, and we can only reinforce the message that the pressure and volatility is increasing on the end-to-end performance. And probably Heineken is not the only one who is experiencing this. Certain Heineken is not the only one who is experiencing this. And there are multiple external drivers, obviously, due to the economic uncertainty, due to COVID, due to really volatile demand, again, especially triggered this year by different challenges, different lockdowns, restrictions. yeah, there is also a trend for globalization. There are different consumer trends going on now, the omni-channel, or the consumers wanting to customize their products to also have the customized service. Yeah, the competition is also very, very tough nowadays in many areas of the business. Yeah, in terms of internal drivers, there are also quite some internal challenges, to be transparent and honest with you. Obviously, nowadays, as probably never before, the end-to-end view, the end-to-end processes and performances need to be fully visible. There's obviously cost pressure. We still have some challenges to break internally in terms of the silos working and the fragmented planning landscape. Data challenges, I think, it's also a thing common for many companies embarking on standardizing their planning journey. The data may not be on time or in full or maybe not accurate enough. And obviously, we need to make sure that we build and sustain our capabilities in different areas. So all of these internal, external drivers of volatility and pressure are really affecting our end-to-end performance. So in terms of our business priority, how do we address this? How do we make sure that we prioritize the activities in our business to make sure that we deliver long-term value creation? Yeah, you can see them on the screen. And these basically the 5 pillars, the 5 killer elements of how we are moving forward. And they are pretty much straightforward and speak for themselves. It is about deliver top-line growth. It's about driving end-to-end performance. It's about brewing a better vault, and this is our sustainability agenda globally in terms of reducing carbon footprint. It's about engaging and developing our people, and obviously we cannot do these things without the people, and people are really in the heart of Heineken business. And last but definitely not the least nowadays, again, speaking about the format of our webinar today, it's about connecting in a digital world. These 5 business priorities of Heineken help us to navigate these challenging times and make sure that we keep building our long-term value. So zooming in from the general information about the company, about Heineken, let's move specifically to the planning situation, because this is what we are going to speak here today. And planning challenges and needs, they are very much linked to what I have been mentioning overall a couple of minutes ago. Given all of this volatility in the world, demand forecasts, demand plans are highly volatile. That puts our customer service levels at risk. Yeah, and then having lack of standards or lack of solutions makes sure that, or lack of capability, should not forget about this, it can contribute to make sure that the planning operations are not fully efficient. Obviously, we do have also the material costs and material risks, security of supply or stock write-offs. Obviously, again, speaking about the cost pressure, also the cost of goods sold and logistic costs are also trending upwards globally. And yeah, planning is facing quite typical challenges in the world today. The data part, the data is not aligned, the data of poor quality. Tools are different, they are not integrated, they are not standardized. Process maturity, an S&OP process in demand and supply planning. Yeah, the levels can be various, and it's important to make sure that the process maturity is continuously improving and not standing idle and not changing. Obviously, we'll need to have the visibility above one operating company. We'll need to have global view, a regional view of what's going on. And that also helps the decision making. The decision making currently is still, there are opportunities there to drive decisions more by value than only by volume. Well, and last but not the least, and people who work in planning will definitely recognize this. In planning, it's really important to make sure that things are worked cross-functionally, that you have a strong cross-functional collaboration. And that's not always the case. It's very difficult to make sure that different functions work together as part of the S&OP process, as part of the demand and supply planning. So all of this triggered the strong need a few years ago for a standardized planning solution, which is the S&OP Core program, which we started 4 years ago. And when we were starting this program, we also looked back at our relationship with FuturMaster. Heineken and FuturMaster have a very long-standing partnership. We started in 2001, so 20 years ago. There is an anniversary where the first deployment of FuturMaster planning solution was done in Heineken France operation, and obviously this was an on-premise module. And over the years, over the next 15 years, give or take, we have had 35 operating companies globally live on the FuturMaster solutions. And these solutions were on-premise. They're all very diverse with different landscapes, different levels of integration. We did not really have a standardized approach and standardized template in place. So in 2017, we started piloting the S&OP Core common template, and we developed it and piloted in very successfully in 2 operating companies in China and in Hungary. And from that moment, since 2018, since second quarter of 2018 to be precise, we have started deploying the S&OP Core common template globally in Heineken operating companies. So what we have delivered is a standardized end-to-end planning solution. And when we speak in terms in Heineken, we often use the words from barley to the bar or from grain to glass. And that is really about it, because we start obviously from our consumers, from our customers, and we look at their sales patterns, we look at the sales volume, and this is where we are looking at our demand planning module. It's supporting us in projecting the best possible demand based on statistics, based on enrichment, but also making sure that we have an aggregated and consolidated view between commercial organization and supply chain of how the demand plans will go forward. And then we look to our distribution network, and this is the way via the distribution replenishment part. This is how demand planning connects to supply planning. And the supply planning module of FuturMaster deployed in S&OP Core program in Heineken support distribution replenishment planning, also including the import planning, the breweries planning, so it's packaging planning, but also brewing planning. And it does take away a while for a beer to mature, so we need really to plan this in advance. And last but not the least, it's about our material requirement, planning processes. It's about the requirements of materials which go to our supply. So it's really end-to-end. We have deployed for the last 2.5 years, we have deployed this solution globally in 13 operating companies of Heineken. You can see on the slide here different presence by region. Quite a lot of course, are live in Europe, but also in Africa, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. And there are still 3 deployments in progress as we speak now, and actually approaching their final stages. We are having this week the business go lives for these deployments, and we are about to close the project in a matter of a few weeks. And we also continue to deliver this remotely. Even in the current COVID times, where we are not allowed to travel, which we are all working from behind the screen of our home offices, the team has been doing quite some efforts. Also the team here in global business and IT team, but also the teams in the operating companies have put a lot of effort in making sure that we continue improving the planning capabilities globally. So overall, early next year, we expect to have 16 operating companies live on the standard platform. And we have also quite a roadmap to go in the next year and in the next years. We are planning still to cover with this standardized template 36 more operating companies, including 2021, and also we are well set up now to continue doing things remotely. What has we observed so far for these 2.5 years of deployment? Well, first of all, we have delivered proven business results. And obviously, business results differ by operating company. So in some operating companies, some benefits are higher, some benefits are lower in different areas, but you can see here ranges that we have observed in general for the improvements, for the real business value improvement. And obviously, when we improve the demand planning process, we improve the forecast accuracy, and improvement of the forecast accuracy brings reduction of inventory, 10 to 15%, also reduction of write-offs or obsoletes. And the ranges here vary a lot depending on what is the starting position of our operating company. So it can be 10 to 30%. Logistic cost reduction, if we improve the replenishment process, we also reduce our inventory. That usually gives us up to 1% of logistic cost reduction. Improving service level, improving availability of products and satisfaction of our customers brings increase of the revenue. We decrease our lost sales, and that can range from 0.25 to 1%. And obviously, recurring IT cost reduction. We have a standardized template, standardized solution. We have standardized interfaces, and thus we can deliver things faster and cheaper to our operating companies. As a last point, what I would want to stress is that it's also not only about deploying the capability, it's also about sustaining it. And we have seen not only in Heineken, but also in other companies which we have benchmarked with, that this is also typically one of the challenges. The project is going, it's very successful, people are doing things in a good way, but after a while, the capability drops by people leaving, by maybe lack of discipline, maybe by changes in the processes. So one of the key pillars, one of the key foundations of the success of the S&OP Core so far has been the fact that we have a strong support model in place, we have a support organization, and we also drive these things with the OP Core. So the support, solution support lead is supporting the OP Core after implementation, also monitoring how the users are using the system. We have a set of PPIs or process performance indicators to help to improve the usage of the solution and the usage of the planning process. So it's about driving the continuous improvement. We must improve consistently in an agile way and bring new value to our planners. But yeah, that's also about such a boring bit as documentation. Nobody really enjoys talking about this, but if you don't have the proper technical and functional documentation, things are also not going to be very well. And last but not the least, it's about transferring the know-how to the operating companies and also to the global team, and leading the user community, making sure that we build on a critical mass the knowledge in the operating companies, making sure that the users are eager to learn, develop, and share the best practices. So that has been our journey so far till 2020, but also the world is changing and we are changing. So let me hand over to Carlo now, who will speak about our case for change for supply chain planning next generation.
Thanks, Elena. Hello, everyone. Good day, and good to talk to you again. Now, in the next few slides, I will summarize the Heineken IT strategy and explain what are the characteristics of FuturMaster next generation that help in realizing it. So if I move to the next. Lena, can you help me out here? Maybe just moving. Yeah, great, thanks. Let's see if the next slides I can flick through. Now, a few slides back, Elena presented the 5 pillars of the Heineken strategy, and the 5th of which was about connecting in a digital world. Now, in IT, we ask ourselves, what does it mean to connect in a digital world? And we realized 2 key things. First of all, Heineken products are connecting people. So whether it's in a bar, at a sport event, at home, beers and other products are a connecting factor. And the second element is that the most important part of that connection is the people, because they determine the success of our products in the end. So we reflected that people are key to the success of our company strategy, and therefore and of our IT strategy as well. And so we must put them at the center of it. So we started to listen more carefully to our people, whether they are consumer, whether they are customer, employees, or indeed supply chain planners. We ask how they feel, what they want, what would make them happy, what makes them unhappy. Yeah? And so what we heard from our customers or from our users is that to succeed, they need three things. First is a business insight. Second is a superfluid user experience enabled by scalable and efficient technological solutions. And so we constructed a conceptual architecture, which is based on three elements. Now, first is a core of solid, simple, unified applications for the basic and standardized tasks. Here you find the payroll systems, the invoice management systems, or the sales order processing system. So very standard things repeated identically across all the opcos. Then we have a layer of best-in-class standard application that satisfies specific needs. And here we find applications like FuturMaster, for instance, for sales and operating planning, or SAP Hybris for business-to-business sales, and so on. And then on top of all this, we have a layer of cutting-edge applications and features that provide really competitive advantage to our users. Here is where you find the artificial intelligence, machine learning modules, advanced analytics reporting, and so on. So a clear, concise strategy with three elements: core, standard, and innovation layers to deliver to our users what they need to succeed. Now, in the next slides, I will explain what are the elements and the characteristics of FuturMaster Next Generation that are most relevant for the realization of this strategy. So first, there we go. Thanks again. Now, first of all, cloud native. Of course, there's a lot of talking about clouds, and you hear it becomes in a way a buzzword. But there are three elements that are very important for us at Heineken. First of all, is about security. And with FuturMaster Next Generations, we are able to log on to the application in single sign-on. That means that no passwords are exchange in clear during the transactions. And obviously we also utilize secure web certificates, SSL, and so on. The second element is scalability and maintainability. So we do have features like auto-scaling or mirror components that allows us as a company to spend less time on server administrations and more time on planning. Okay, we will still have the sysadmins or the people that are maintaining a little bit of infrastructure, but the focus is shifting from those activities to the core of the business, which is planning in this case. And then the third element is about easy to update. So to distribute and update to all the opcos with FuturMaster Next Gen, we will only need to update one server instead of all the individual servers of the opcos, and that saves a lot of time and reduces the margin for and reduces the errors as well. Now, the second element is about AI-augmented and automations. I think here there are two key takeaways for us. First is that Heineken will still put the users at the center of the planning process. So for us, AI is more an enable of it enable them to work better and to achieve more. Yeah? And the second element is about automation, because it eliminates mundane tasks and free up time for more strategic tasks of the planning process. So again, it's about putting the user, the planner, at the center of the application ecosystem and enable them to achieve more and to be eventually more successful. Now, the third element is about the user experience. Here, again, user experience is a broad discipline. For us, it's three things are important. So we have of better data visualizations, and I think Elena will show some screens probably later on, better collaborations tool, and a more intuitive user interface deliver, in fact, a better user experience for our users. So we want our users to be, let's say, happy to work on the applications that we provide them. Yeah? And so that also their experience is smoother, they have less hiccups, and again, they have less distractions from what their key tasks here, which is again is about planning. So to recap, in our strategy is about connecting in a digital world, and we realize it by listening to our users and provided with tools, insights, and user experience which help them to strive. So I will now give the floor back to Elena, who will talk about how the strategy is materializing and beginning to deliver business value.
Thanks very much, Carlo. Yeah, so as Carlo mentioned, our strategy, Carlo also talked about a little bit of what FuturMaster has proposed to us with the new FuturMaster next generation planning solution. So what we wanted to do and what we needed to do is to understand which business value this solution is going to bring us. And that's why we embarked in summer 2020 on the journey, on the, you could say, experiment, or it's, as it now in the agile terminology called proof of value experiment, together with Heineken, a global team, FuturMaster team, and also one of our operating companies, specifically in Slovakia, to understand what will the new solution would bring us. And how we started this, and also linking back to what Carlos said, we started from user experience and user feedback. We listened to them, we talked to them. It's not that we have not been talking to them before, obviously we did, but we did approach them in a structured way, and we really mapped their user journey. And that was done also remotely via a series of remote workshops and nowadays fancy collaboration tools, as you can see here on the screen. We really mapped the end-to-end user journeys and personas of demand planner, supply planner, S&OP and planning manager, or here the brand marketeer or the sales representative who also participate in the process. We mapped the process, we mapped the stages of the process, and we also looked at the touch points, and most importantly, to the pain points. What are the pain points that they are now experiencing? Where we could help? Which things we can address first by going into the industry's proof of value and trying to not only make their life better, make sure that we eliminate or reduce their pain points, but also to deliver by this corresponding business value. So it looks quite overwhelming if you look at all of the touch points, the whole end-to-end journey. So obviously we needed to prioritize, and based on the user feedback, this is how we approached it. So we first identified, based on these user stories, we identified priority areas of investigation. We could not look at 50 pain points. Yeah, we really wanted to focus on the functionalities of the new FuturMaster next generation solution, which could bring us immediate value by addressing and improving certain pain points of the users. And this is automated outlier detection, usage of machine learning in the demand planning with external data sets. Just to give you a few examples, public holidays, promotions, and weather data. Yeah, obviously for beer, weather is quite important. And as I already mentioned, we started working with one of our operating companies, Heineken Slovensko in Slovakia, and we definitely worked together, global team and the users from Slovakia. But also what we did, we involved participants of the so-called user guild. And this is quite a new agile concept as well that we started to have in our business in, just this year. I think it's only a few months old. You have obviously the wider user community with a lot of people, with all of the users from all over the world in our case. But also all users have different levels of engagement. They also have different capabilities. some people are much more engaged. Some people are really want to drive the continuous improvement forward. They want to, you know, as you would say, they want to walk an extra mile to work together with us on the improvements. And this has been quite a successful experiment so far, I must tell, in terms of the business improvement and business development in demand and supply planning areas. But we also involved this group of key users in the sessions that we had, and then the period proof of value project that we had together with Futur. Yeah, well, the last but definitely not the least was to look at the business results. We wanted to compare the existing results from a standard S&OP Core FuturMaster that the operating company has been having already, and to see whether we can identify improvement opportunities, whether we can achieve better forecast accuracy, whether we can achieve better results overall, or in specific areas by, for example, using the machine learning. So this is how we approach the proof of value. And actually, Carlo was mentioning the pre-scripts. Yes, this is also how we started. We started by experiencing the look and feel of the new solution. You can see some pre-scripts here, but that was also the start for us. This is also how our FuturMaster partners have demonstrated the solution to us. And also this is how we started going through the journey together. We looked at the capabilities of the solution. We tried to experience how does it work, to click, to use. And that works much more than any fancy presentation. It works much better if the people are able to test, try, and feel how it is. So the project took several months. So we started early August and we completed it by mid-October. So first of all, and again, linking it back to our user personas and listening to their users, what did our planners say as a result of this proof of value? What was their feedback? Well, they definitely saw a lot of value in terms of the value, right? Specifically because the new dashboard and module, the prescripts you have seen just on the previous slide, enables the prioritization of exception and also drives for action. So it's not only the exception management principle that you have some report or some alert, but you can see this exception immediately and immediately go to your demand planning module or supply planning module and improve and fix if it's needed. Also, the interface was said to be more intuitive and the visualization very much nicer. Yeah, again, the drill down capabilities help to reduce the non-value added activities. What was also really important for the planners and particularly for S&OP and planning managers, that you could have in the dashboard the integrated view for demand and supply planning. That, again, linking back to end-to-end, that is which enables this end-to-end thinking. And again, it's not only about visualization or reporting, it's also about being action-driven. Yeah, and the users really enjoyed and adopted the new solution quite easily. They were very enthusiastic about it because really they have liked the new look and feel. What they also liked is that you could customize things. Yeah, and remember we are talking about a standardized template, which obviously has some room for flexibility, but also people are different, so really like this personalization aspect. Yeah, and then we could structure things in different time buckets, which was also useful for our sales colleagues or marketing colleagues. So starting with the people, the feedback was very positive after these few months, after the proof of value, but obviously we also looked at the business results. And yeah, the business results were also positive. Yeah, they were, I would say, quite positive. And these business results, we believe, will enable us to accelerate bringing the business value in the current situation. Well, first of all, we have seen, as a result of this proof of value, a positive improvement and weekly forecast accuracy in around mid-single digits, without any involvement of the demand planner, so only supported by the new functionalities of this solution. What we also discovered and actually proved by the different data drivers, that we have identified value of these different external value data drivers, which vary by operating company, by channel, by product where we found particularly good results, and that is also probably quite it was also, I think, something that we were expecting to see, but we've been able to prove this with data, with external data, that usage of external data for promotions gave us best improvements. And for more than 80% of our customers for which we had the promotional data available, we managed to observe very significant improvements in the weekly forecast. So the results were very, very promising. And that drove us to the conclusion to make the changes to our program, to our S&OP Core program, and to plan transition to the new FuturMaster next generation solution, which actually also triggered us to change the name of the program. Change is probably a strong word, to upgrade the name of our program. So now, instead of S&OP Core, we are merging, we are migrating to the new name, which is S&OP FIT. And we are planning to deliver this new standardized template, S&OP FIT template of FuturMaster next generation, to our operating companies. And this template will also be able to connect to ERPs, to data lakes, to other services, to dashboard, reporting tools with the help of API. It will be a cloud solution with new improved user experience, with secure single sign-on integrated. And obviously, by going into the cloud-based SaaS solution, we are looking for scalability and maintainability of the solution, and obviously high availability of that. So that is our ambition going forward. And actually, we are starting very fast. The world, as we said, is very, very volatile. So we took the decision in October this year to start, and we are already preparing for the pilot. We are actively preparing for the pilot, and we are building the floor now, the foundation for the pilot, which will happen in Q1 2021. We plan to have the first operating company live on the new S&OP FIT FuturMaster next gen template by end of the first quarter. And from second quarter of 2021, we plan to deploy the new solution, the new template, S&OP FIT template, to the operating companies of which we plan to deliver in 2021 already on the new plan. In Q4 2021, we are also looking forward to continue our experiment with the proof of value and to do the same proof of value for the FuturMaster next generation supply planning module, which has been developed by FuturMaster. And in 2022, we are looking forward to migrate all our 16 operating companies by this point, 15, the ones which are currently live on S&OP Core template, to migrate them to the new S&OP FIT FuturMaster. Obviously, all of this will be enabled by the DevOps model of agile operations that we have also spoken about in our previous video. Yeah, that is it, what we wanted to share with you today. Now it's the time for Q&A.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Elena and Carlo, for the presentation. Let's begin the Q&A session. We've obviously received a lot of questions during the session, so I've picked a few out that are kind of relating to this proof of value exercise that you've gone through, and this cloud migration and machine learning exercise, and then we'll obviously have a couple of questions about COVID as well, because and how that's affected the program. Let's have a look through. So I think the first question I'll direct to Carlo. So Carlo, this is specifically about the commercial viability of this solution. So obviously we've been through a process where the SaaS version of FuturMaster, this new next gen version versus the on-premise, is commercially viable, but SaaS and on-prem models are very different. How did you go about proving this internally?
Yeah, thanks, Martin. That's an interesting question indeed, because it's it pertains not only, of course, FuturMaster, but also the in general how we approach cloud solutions. So let me see. I think what I'm saying here is true for FuturMaster as well. So because we look at the at the business case for cloud solutions, and then of course it contains both costs and benefit. So on the cost side, we actually transfer low-level sysadmin activities to the service provider. We automate mundane activities, and in essence, we reduce the number of architecture components, which leads to a reduction of the total cost of ownership of the applications. That's what we are looking on the cost side. Now, on the benefit side, so I think that's where the things are even more important, because we are looking at upskilling local resources to use more sophisticated tools, in this case, planning tools. But we are also sees this as a mean to attract a new generation of planners. So it's very unlikely, and that's something we see also in research we get from consultancy company. It's very unlikely that the best talents of the millennial generations will be excited by manually cleansing historical data in Excel or logging into an applications that require Citrix. So there is a innovating means remaining relevant, not only with competitors, but also on the job market as an employer.
Okay, thanks very much, Carlo. That's really useful, thanks. I'd like to ask, so we've got a question that's come in about the proof of value exercise, Elena. So as you presented that, let's go to you with that, specifically about the work that was done on the proof of value. And so how much work was required on the proof of value, and also including the local resources in Slovakia?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I can understand where it's coming from, because obviously it's an activity that we need to plan and to manage. So majority of work was done by FuturMaster team. Obviously, we've done from the Heineken side, we've done quite some work on preparing these user stories, the pain points. And then we worked very closely together with the local users in Slovakia, global team and FuturMaster on in an agile way with stand-ups every couple of days to understand our results, to understand correct the code. So I think from the Heineken side, you would say that we spent maybe, 15% of our time throughout this 2 to 3 months on the project, but majority of work was done by the FuturMaster.
Okay, thanks, Elena. And we've got another question on the proof of value, actually, that I think is a really interesting one. Did you gain insight from the proof of value, or did you already have a business case to support, which you kind of proved?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and actually, it's both. Yeah, so I think in some of the areas, in some of the things, the proof of value confirmed what we knew from our experience, confirmed what we knew from working in planning for many years. Like, I will give the example here of the promo data. That is obviously something where where using the proof of value gave us very strong arguments, very strong data arguments for assessing the business value and being very precise of what benefit we could expect. In some things, yeah, we got some new insights. Yeah, for the weather, I mentioned the weather data, and yeah, you would say it's also obvious for the soft drinks, for drinks, and for beer, the weather would play a role. But the results that we got based on the data, yeah, were not that straightforward. For some of the customers, for some specific customers, for some specific products, the impact of weather on the demand plans and on the forecast with the support of machine learning was, yeah, different to what we expected. But it gave us a very important insight to understand how to proceed with this further.
Thanks, Elena. Thanks. Okay, we've got some questions have come in about COVID, and I think we can't have a webinar these days without asking questions about COVID. So let's get those under our belt. Has this one, I think, I'll direct the first one to you, Carlo. Has the COVID crisis made the business case and appetite for change stronger or weaker within Heineken? I think this is something a lot of businesses are looking at the moment.
Yeah, and alongside the business case, indeed. But I was expecting Robbie's questions about when will the lockdown end. Anyway, going back to business case. Well, I mean, I think what we saw, at least here in where we are in the Netherlands, we see COVID impact materializing around around spring. And it was clearly that it added complexity and certainty to the world. And so the immediate next step is, well, we need better plans, and we also need to have more flexible plans. So yeah, that was for us pretty natural to move then immediately into an innovation mode and look about, okay, how can we in the short amount of time deliver a better planning tool or an improved better planning tool to our planners. And so we throughout summer we immediately rerouted resources to work on the cloud implementations and the next generation. So it was kind of a natural, I would say, a natural reaction to a crisis.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you, Carlo.
Yeah. So in other words, yes, the appetite for change got stronger. Yes, it got stronger because we saw it as the needed thing to move. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. And one for you, Elena. I think you spoke about it a little bit on during the webinar, but from a deployment point of view, have you been able to deliver the program rollout as effectively remotely as you would have done on site?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think being transparent with you, it was a change for us because we have been used to working on site, and that was also our way of working till this March. So I think we were able to deliver it also effectively. It did require us to change the way we work, to change the materials, to embrace new technological tools, I think, as all of us nowadays, and try to make it as engaging and as easy for our planners and operations as possible. Yeah, obviously, you can imagine that deploying this solution in the planning area, while planners also at the same time need to manage the impacts of COVID, is not an easy job. I think we are doing it in a very good way and a very effective and efficient way remotely. A small disclaimer that what we also observed that some things obviously are much more difficult to do remotely, and change management and engagement with some, for example, problematic or in very important stakeholders remotely is also quite difficult, because you miss the human contact, you miss reading the body language, the emotions of the people. You don't have the feel of the place, and that's quite difficult to get remotely. But I think we are experiencing this not only deployments but generally in the world nowadays. So we have to be very flexible and agile and adapt to this, and to be as efficient and as effective as possible in the new world.
Okay, thank you, Elena. Thank you. It's a useful insight. Well, I think we've got time to squeeze in one more question before everyone gets back to their days or ends their days, depending where we are. One for you, Elena, and specifically relating to the machine learning exercise you've spoken about. And there's I think it raises an interesting dichotomy that maybe we just need to consider. So you deploy an identical core model at Heineken, but when you spoke about external data, it said it would vary by market. And the question really is, does this put your single core solution at risk?
Yeah, it's indeed a very interesting question. I think maybe to answer this, I need also to look a little bit also at the past. So the fact that S&OP Core template, our past template, is, we use the word template, we use the word standard. It doesn't mean that this is a rigid template, the one which is not flexible, the one which cannot be adapted or adjusted without how to say, damaging the template. So it can be still adapted to the opconnects. So it has to be a right balance of standard and template, but all at the same time trying to be flexible and customizable for the opcore. And this principle has been one of our groundbreaking principles from the start of this program since 2017. So we plan to carry on exactly the same principle into the new S&OP FIT template, making sure that this is a standard template, which have multiple possibilities, but at the same time having the flexibility for the opcos to use the external data, but maybe one opco would use 3 sources of external data, and another opco would only use 1, which is relevant for them. So as long as we are able to maintain this balance and to cater for operating needs of so diverse operating companies globally, because the needs of an operating company in Namibia definitely differs from what Indonesia is experiencing. Their market situation is different. Their country situation is different. So as long as we are able to maintain this balance, I think I don't see any risk in going further with this standardized.
Great, thanks. I think that's a really interesting message for anyone who's trying to do any kind of big S&OP rollout, especially with solutions, is that standardization is critical, but idealistic standardization may bring more challenges than otherwise. You need to maintain a level of flexibility to account for the different operating models and the different business units that you're working with. Okay, well, thank you very much, both to Elena and Carlo for the presentation. And thanks as well to everyone who's attended today. We've had a really excellent attendance